All right, so in the package that we sent you guys, you should have gotten a game board and a couple decks of cards. Here you have your supply cards, your danger cards, and your risk cards, and this is how you're going to want to set up the board for when you guys play. One thing we didn't add in the box are going to be game pieces, so we've used some beer caps and some rocks. But the gist of the game is you start here and then you move across the Davis Trail all the way to the end, and the goal is obviously to not die. To start the game, pick a dealer. They're going to deal out a select number of cards, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Once cards are dealt out, players can pick them up, take a look at what they've got in their supply kit. The amount of cards being dealt out is going to depend on the amount of players playing the game. And so the standard amount, like kind of magic number we found, is roughly 32 cards being dealt at one time. But while you guys are learning to play the game, I would strongly suggest dealing out an additional 1 or 2 supplies. It's going to make for a healthier game while you're piecing together exactly how to play. So the player to the left of the dealer is going to start gameplay by drawing a danger card. And here we've got a snake bite and I need antidote. I can look through my supply kit and sure enough, I've got some antidote. And I'm going to use that antidote to remedy that danger, and I'm no longer in trouble of dying from the snake bite. Move those cards off to the side, and then if I can find the game board here, I'm going to move my game piece forward 1 spot, and since I remedied the danger, I get to collect an additional supply. And your turn is now over. So a likely scenario we'll run into is that you draw a danger, and here it's that snake bite again. Let's say I didn't have antidote in my hand, so I can list other players. I could say, hey Tony, do you have an antidote? And if Tony does, he could give it to me, or he could hold on to it. He doesn't have to tell me he has it. If he wants to be generous, he could give me that card. I remedy the snake bite, and I move forward and collect a supply. So one other piece of gameplay information when it's your turn is that, let's say I did have the antidote in my hand, but I want to be a bit of an asshole. I decide to say, hey, does anyone have an antidote? And Tony gives me his. It remedies my danger. I'd move forward and would collect a supply and not give up my antidote. Tony would also have the option to, if he wants to give me his antidote, he could barter or make a deal with me. Free trade, free world, and probably going to die. So he says, give me your supply card and I'll give you this antidote. Or give me 2 of the supplies in your hand plus your supply and I'll give you the supply card. So you can wheel and deal, and that's part of the fun of the game is just bartering with people. So what we'll take a look at now is the likely scenario that you run into where you have this danger and you can't remedy the problem and nobody else is going to help you or is able to help you. What do we do with this card? So this is a piece of the game that you guys haven't seen yet. I can send you the PDFs for this, or just make something that looks roughly like this. And this is going to be how you keep track of how close you are to dying. What you're going to see on a majority of the danger cards is the skull, and it's going to have a number in it, and that number is going to be 4 in most cases. And the reason for that is you have 4 turns to overcome that danger. So I put that card into the 1 spot, and essentially I have 4 turns to remedy the snake bite, or I'm going to die. So once it's my turn again, I'm going to go ahead and draw an additional danger card. And here I've drawn a low morale. I enlist other players to help me out, and if no one can help me and I can't remedy it, I'm going to go ahead and move my snake bite down, and now I have a low morale that I'm also dealing with on top of the snake bite. So the other players have gone, and it's back to my turn. I draw an additional danger, and what we're going to see here, so I've drawn a bear attack, and if you'll notice there's no number down in the corner there. That's because you need bear spray right now or you're going to die. So what you can see here is, even though I didn't get to that 4th spot where I die from the snake bite or low morale, if nobody can help me, if I don't have the bear spray, I die immediately and I'm out of the game. Another scenario you could run into is that you've gone each time and you were unable to remedy that snake bite. You couldn't get a morale boost fixed. You needed rope. You didn't get that. So you were down to your last turn here. And once you've drawn that additional danger, which would have been this guy. If you haven't fixed this at the end of that 4th turn, you are dead. So at this point, game over. You've just died. So to make this super simple, a turn's going to consist of drawing a danger card and then looking for your through your supplies. If you have the supply to remedy that problem, you do so, you move forward, and you collect a supply. If you don't have it, you ask other players to help you, and then if they can, you move forward and collect a supply. And the last thing we're going to take a look at here are going to be the risk cards. So the last thing we're going to take a peek at are going to be these yellow cards, which are your risk cards, and these can be acquired once it's your turn. You can trade in a supply for one of these risk cards. And these risk cards are largely good, 68% good, 20% neutral, and then 12% bad. Here's an example of a standard risk. I've got a meat supply I'm going to give up. I plop that down the discard pile, take a risk, and it's just going to be an extra supply card. Throw that in my supplies, and then gameplay resumes as normal. It's only going to be one risk per turn. So one of the questions that we do get asked a lot by people who are playing the game for the first time is, when should you risk? And the reality is you can kind of do it whenever you want. I personally like to gamble a good bit, and I'll risk every couple of turns. Other people play more conservative, and it's safer to avoid risking unless you absolutely need to. If you are dying of something in the next couple of turns, it's a good idea to risk cards, but it's also fun to just do it along the way. And sometimes you can pick up some really good cards. You can also pick up some really bad ones, lose all your supplies, or just die immediately. So you kind of have to just risk at your own discretion. So I will offer a tip about risking. What you'll discover is there are going to be a ton of these cards here: water, food, berries, machetes, meat. These things tend to be plentiful on the trail, so these are good to risk because you're likely to recoup those, or other people are going to have them. Then you have kind of these middle ground cards that are a little bit harder to come by: tweezers, water filter, aloe vera. So not wise to risk those necessarily, but you can. And then these are cards that you generally never want to risk unless you're just being an asshole. These are cards where if you don't have them, people die immediately. So these generally you don't want to risk ever, unless you just feel like being a dick. So that is the light tutorial on how to play Probably Gonna Die, and you may have questions. You're likely to have questions. A bug in my face here. You're likely to have questions about gameplay, and I'm available virtually all the time, so feel free to call me. We can FaceTime, and I can kind of coach and assist as needed, and Kate knows how to play, so she's also a resource for that. And just give us any feedback, questions, comments. We're already like revamping boards, and we've got some really cool ideas for new cards and just different styles of gameplay. So it's this nice living, breathing thing that we're manipulating, and we're really excited to share with people. So thank you guys first and foremost for like reaching out to us and offering to play and test it. And share it with folks, and take pictures. We want to take pictures and for our social media once we get that up and running. So I hope you enjoy it, and just keep in touch. Let us know if you need any trail support. I'm your trail guide, and so is Kate. So just let us know what you think, and I hope you have fun with it. Peace.